I own a food delivery company. If you guys haven't already seen, you may have seen the video where I spoke about my first private equity investment video. First private equity investment video essentially is just a follow-up. I can actually speak about the investment, tell you guys what I've purchased, tell you guys about the company that I actually own. And the company is a food delivery company. It's called Supper. It's based in London. And they have a very peculiar niche. They tend to target more affluent individuals. They target more exclusive restaurants. And they actually have exclusive contracts with the restaurants they work with. Some of you guys may have never heard of them before. I actually have heard of them. So when we had our company proposal, it was kind of like, I was ready for it, to be fair. Service that I've used before. And again, I think I had the issue of, I went to go purchase Hakkasan. I couldn't purchase it on delivery, and I think the week prior they'd actually had it on delivery. I'd bought it from delivery before, and they didn't have it on delivery anymore. Supper seemed to be the only option, and so that was what had actually brought me to Supper. And so when I'd essentially seen the proposal, it was like, okay, cool, I'd used this company before, looked at the plans going forward, and I was essentially just ready to invest almost immediately. Gathered my funds together, made the investment of 20k, and I'd actually made another 100k investment on top of this. Supper in more detail. Supper is actually a premium on-demand delivery service. They're based in London. They're in a more lucrative niche. Other than your Uber Eats, Just Eats, Deliveroo, Supper have exclusive contracts with exclusive clients. Their clients would be the more high-end restaurants in the West End in central London that weren't actually open at first to having an actual delivery service. They suspect that most people would more be there for experience, to be in the restaurant, be in the setting. However, to get people, even such as myself, like I was ordering Hakkasan quite a bit throughout lockdown if I wanted to work or something, just while eating food. But Supper is different. With Supper having the clients they actually have a revenue per order on average of about £100, and they have a gross profit of £10 per order on average. And with this, again, if they can actually scale the business, having a gross profit of £10 per order that they actually get, again, all they would then need is just a volume of orders. So Supper actually have vehicles imported from Japan. And these vehicles they've actually imported are specially designed for food delivery. Again, they actually keep your food at restaurant temperature up until I think it's a certain mile radius. I can't remember specifically what it is, but they have a certain mile radius in which they can actually deliver this food within and still keep it exactly at restaurant temperature. And again, for the types of clients, for the types of customers that Supper will have, being able to match this standard is most definitely going to be key. And this is what differentiates them from their competition. Even with these vehicles, they can actually store 30 orders, so up to 30 different servings of food, as well as keeping food at both hot and cold temperatures. So for example, if you wanted to have a whole 3-course meal in one of these vehicles, that can be done, and they can monitor temperatures. And a quick disclaimer before I actually go more into detail on the investment. Unfortunately, the investment isn't available to the public. I hope Supper do IPO. It would mean the valuation's just gone sky high. The company's essentially achieved what they plan to, but it isn't yet available to the public. If it does become available and there are ways in which you can invest, I'll let you guys know if you wish to. Private equity investments do pose a lot of risk, in the sense that a lot of these companies are extremely small. Some of them are even pre-revenue and they don't actually make very much money, or some of them even just ideas. Supper is a company which does provide their service, and I'm going to go into it, tell you guys the benefits, talk about exactly what they do, how they're different, USPs, because they do have a lot of competition. Deliveroo, Just Eats, Uber Eats are their main competition that I can think of, and then you've got all the little local delivery services. So this is probably one of my favorite advantages of Supper. So they can deliver to not only homes and offices, but they can actually deliver to parks and fields, etc. So I had an issue. I had a little picnic, or I went to go and get stuff from Harrods. So I went to go and get fruit from Harrods with a friend of mine. We'd actually gone over to Regent's Park. I had my last apartment in London in Regent's Park. We'd bought a whole bunch of fruit and loads of different things. Then we'd also bought like a red velvet cake. When we'd actually got from Harrods to Regent's Park, the cake was just flattened. However, if we'd had one of Supper's vehicles that can keep it at a specific temperature, that would have actually been more ideal. And should it have arrived to us flattened, we would have been comfy. We would have been able to, I guess, get our money back, potentially reorder, and it would have just been a vibe. So being able to order to parks, restaurants, houses, offices, etc., for me is just a big bonus. Should I move back to London when I get my next apartment or next house, it'll be nice to just be able to just sort of chill anywhere, know that I can get my food delivered to me. For a company that has such nice revenue, such nice gross profit and regular orders, what's the need for a fundraise? So Supper unfortunately only operate in London. They are looking to expand into even more of the West London and more East London, because again, predominantly central London, with a lot of the restaurants being based in the West End, very central London. And this is the need for the fundraise. They are looking to expand out to different cities, which essentially just opens up a whole new market. And I think some of their clients also have restaurants in different countries, so that could be a potential. Even just different cities in the UK, that is a start. Building the brand, building the name, letting people actually know about the service and how good it is. It could only lead to even potential growth in the future, whereby a client is like, listen, the service is amazing. Can you operate in XYZ country? So now going into specifically what the fundraise has been for and why Supper actually want the investment. So first off is technology. Currently, Supper are running on a semi-automated basis. However, they're trying to go fully automated in terms of the deliveries and ordering. Helps in order to scale. I've been looking at inflation-proof companies. Inflation-proof companies, to me, are companies such as Google, Facebook, etc. They can deal with their demand. If they had, for example, an increased number of users, let's say, for example, you're running Facebook ads. If you run 10 times as many Facebook ads, Facebook don't then need 10 times as many employees to actually handle all of that newfound usage of the service. Similar with Supper. If they can then fully automate everything, they won't then need more employees to actually fulfill orders, which would then be a big issue and sort of a big expense, whereby, again, if they can automate it, perfect. That will just be 100 times better for the company in terms of being able to spend less and, again, be more efficient. Again, you could have orders having to manually fulfill an order, delivery, food delivery as well. When I did do my order from Supper, again, the process was very smooth, very efficient, but just knowing that it's semi-automated just feels a bit awkward. So leading on from technology, and you guys already know that they want to sort of increase their customer base. They also want to increase drivers, and they want to increase the vehicles in which they can use for those drivers, which again is just standard practice. You have an increased demand in a service, get workers to again fulfill this newfound demand that they're trying to create, which they know they need to import more vehicles. They'd make sure that there's no issues on the supplier side, which is what I could see arising. Widening areas, marketing, and international expansion. So widening the area base, said previously mainly operating in central London, being able to expand out into West London, the Western side. This is room for the company to grow exponentially. Marketing, they need to get the word out about the service. It only makes sense they market. I guess every company has to market their product or service to be able to just get it out to the public, get it known. I see delivery being marketed very, very well. Same with Just Eats. Uber Eats, I don't see it as much anymore. So it's just something they're going to have to do to keep up with the competition. They're going to have to market, let people know about the service. Again, it is a great service. I feel like they just need to sell it, which is something that even I believe is missing with the company. And then going on to international expansion. So Nobu, Hakkasan, etc. Some of these actually do have international restaurant chains. That what had happened was that Nobu had actually asked Supper to potentially be able to offer their delivery service internationally, because this just shows the whole worldwide expansion that could happen. I don't know whether it will happen or it won't, but even just for them to move their London base to cover the entire area of London and then to go out to even different cities is more than enough to, I believe, for them to meet their targets. Going internationally, I feel like would be a big cash loss immediately, to then obviously start to recoup that cash loss once they actually sort of build their demand, market, show that there is sort of a place for them in the market in which they wish to operate in. Looking at management, the CEO of Supper was actually a trader. He was a trader. I really love his story. He was a city trader, sort of went on to run his own businesses. This has brought Supper to where it is at today. For me, it's like I wish to do the exact same thing. A lot of people are like, okay, cool, so where do you see yourself in like the late future, the 10-20 year period? Buying businesses for me just seems like the way forward. So that is the Supper video. I do own a delivery company, partially, only a small piece of the pie. It's a piece of the pie at that. So yeah, even if you're a shareholder of Apple stock, essentially you are an owner of the company, provided that your broker does actually sort of hold the contracts. But I'll see you guys in the next video and take